Hey everybody, welcome to season 5 of What's IGN Crushing On. I'm Caryn Solomon and I'm your host, and we're here to talk about what's hot in pop culture. Hi everyone, and welcome to our The Crown season 5 roundtable. Today, I'm joined by new to the podcast, Ayesha. Hi, Ayesha.
Hello.
And we're welcoming back Mvelase. Hi, Mvelase.
Hello.
And of course, Leanne.
Hello.
So, we're talking about season 5 of The Crown. We have a new cast of characters. We set in the 90s. There's a lot happening. This is what many call the celebrity era of the Windsors, of the royal family. So let's start off with a simple question. What did you think about this season?
I thought this season it was a little slow because I think they're they're building up to the big moment of Princess Diana's death, and it's so they try to it was very slow, kind of they're getting there. So I mean, you deal with the whole thing of what happened in the 90s. It was terrible what was going on with the royal family, and I mean, I remember all of this stuff. I remember seeing it in the You magazine. All of these, everything that we're seeing in the episodes, like I was reading it. I was like engrossed with this entire thing.
I think that's what was weird for me. So overall, I was not as enamored with the season as I was with previous season. I felt like something was lacking. I agree on the pacing. I think like they covered so much ground in other seasons, whereas here you can feel they're dragging it out and like it's taking too long to build.
Yeah.
But I also think they missed a beat with the assumption that everybody knew these plot lines. So I had a weird moment where like I knew there were interviews, but I didn't know the detail of like when it was the book versus when it was the TV interview versus why the TV interview thing was such an episode. So when the episode was happening, I felt like I was missing the pressure of it because they worked on the assumption that I understood what this meant in the context. But because I actually didn't, it felt less than. I can't think of the word. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I think they just assume people knew everything.
That makes sense to me. It sounds I hear what you're saying.
No, like 100%. Like the whole season was talking about like, oh, this is such a difficult year for the royal family. It's so hard, so difficult. I'm like, why? I'm like, yeah, it was so hard. The queen had to give up one of her many royal properties. That ancient ugly ass ship. I'm so sorry. But like I agree, like the pacing was slow. I have found myself asking, what am I watching? Why am I watching it? What you said, Leanne, made sense, like because we didn't understand the context and we didn't like know the relevance or importance of it at the time because we were expected to know. That made it difficult. So overall, kind of like meh. Why?
I was just like I got the extended metaphor about the yacht, but I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't feel sorry for this woman for giving up this luxury yacht that the government is paying for.
We're meant to feel sorry for her because she lost a yacht. I mean, like, it's a yacht. It's literally a yacht. Like, why are we meant to feel sorry for her about this?
I paused on when they were writing the amount. It was like 14 million Great British pounds.
Yes.
I went and I Googled how much it costs now. It costs like 600 million South African rands now with inflation. Girl, they were in a recession or some shit.
Yes.
The people couldn't have a young beans on toast, and she wants to have her property on the ocean to go and have a colony. So I don't know, huh? Get a grip.
Okay, so I don't know if any of you saw the latest John Oliver was on the Monarchy.
Yes, I did watch it. I saw it.
The timing was beautiful just because so I was watching the season and every now and then, I think it was with the divorce settlement, they made reference to the duchy. And I was like, I don't know what that is. I'm just assuming it's like the little whatever. And then John Oliver goes into what the duchy is and the fact that there's two and how much it's worth. And I was like, these people are crying over the yacht. I was like, no, man, come on.
There's the Duchy of Lancaster and the Duchy of I forget the one that the Cornwall? Prince of Wales. Cornwall, yes, that's correct. So the Duchy of Lancaster is how they first. Okay, so the wealth of the royal family is. Whenever you see these kind of these figures of like the queen or the king, well, from nowadays, the king has this X amount of money. It does not include the Duchy of Lancaster and the Duchy of Cornwall, because that money it's coming back from the 1300s. That's when they had to give away a little bit of a little bit of their power, and so then they gave away their power. The king gave away their power, and then they got this cash. It's like it's always coming in all the entire time.
Madness.
It's insane.
So I mean, this season we got like a whole new cast of characters. But what did you guys think about the season's casting?
I thought Elizabeth Debicki is brilliant as a Diana. She was amazing. I've had a thing with all the other like royal family stuff in terms of their wigs. Elizabeth Debicki is the first time I've seen someone who's like, okay, no, that looks like Diana's hair.
Yes,
yes, they've got it right.
Hard agree. There's a royal watcher I follow. Her name is Amanda. Matter of fact.
Yes, on TikTok. Yes.
She specifically goes on about how they never get Diana's hair right, and I agree that Elizabeth's hair, or the way that they styled her hair, they got it right for the first time. Like, I am convinced. Yeah. I don't like how they characterized Diana in the season. They made her a bit of like a petulant, deranged child, which I didn't enjoy, but I did enjoy her performance overall. I really enjoyed Prime Minister John Major, the casting of him.
No, he was. He was.
John Major wishes. No, I'm sorry.
like why am I simping for a Tory?
That's been me all 5 seasons with all the prime ministers. I'm just like weak for all of them, except for Winston Churchill. Like, after that, I was like, Anthony Eden, yes, and all of them.
and then also Jonathan Pryce. He, like, obviously he's really charismatic and whatever.
That Prince Philip is very good. I mean, I don't think Prince Philip was that way in real life, but
yes, because Prince Philip has the personality of a bag of rocks. So he did really well.
He was pretty charming. I think he had a thing about him. He looked like he was like a little bit funny, and like he could do that. I was very disappointed when Jonathan Pryce was cast, because I thought that, don't judge me for this, but I think that Prince Philip was a bit better looking old man. But because I always thought that like Charles Dance would play a good older Philip, but then they used him as Mountbatten. But but like so I was just like, Jonathan Pryce, he's so short and he just looks so old. But then he was so charming, and I was like, okay, I get it.
I do think they were kinder. So, I mean, I don't agree with the Prince Charles casting. I think too good looking and too charming. Like, I don't know. I've seen the clips of Prince Charles back in the day, and I don't think he had any sort of charisma. Maybe I'm being harsh. But I feel like Dominic West gave Charles more charisma than needed. I found it difficult to completely hate, because no.
Anybody else have Dominic West?
Dominic, okay, first of all, I was talking. I've got a lot of things about Dominic West.
I was like, this is not going to be an easy one.
He's got an amazing ass. you need to. There's a website that shows you like all the nude scenes that celebrities have done, and I've found a friend of mine sent me a
A
picture
friend
of
of yours, sure.
yes. Sent me a link to one of Dominic West, because I know him from the Wire, and he was great in the Wire. He was amazing in the Wire, but I never thought that he'd be able to play someone who is, well, Prince Charles. I never thought he'd be able to play Prince Charles, but I mean, personally, he is a Prince Charles in his real life.
Yeah.
But still, like, I was amazed at how good he is. He gave Prince Charles a lot of agency, and I don't believe that Prince Charles is that kind of person in real life. But I think actually this actually comes into my feeling about the entire season is that there's a lot more fictionalizing of it. It's not just like history.
Yes.
Yeah, it's now it's like Peter Morgan, the director, the creator of the show. He's fictionalizing it. He wants us. There's a particular feeling, thing he wants us to take away, like a belief that he wants us to take away from about the royal family, and so he has to fictionalize. Because I remember this all the stuff that was happening. I remember it, and the way he's showing it, it's not the way it happened.
I agree. I think they're desperately wanting us to see the royal family as like a whole real people, like real human people, which they are. They're still people, but they exist on a different plane, and they also believe that they're chosen by God and all of these things, which is also heavily implied in the show as well. But the way Dominic West portrayed Charles specifically is with a lot more charisma than I think Charles actually has. I do believe Charles does have all those passions and things. I genuinely think he does, because he does have all those charities and things. However, am hard pressed to believe he stood with the youths and danced and socialized with them in such a way.
So this is what I find interesting, right? Because we know the Crown is propaganda, and we know that from the beginning they've always given Elizabeth and the royals a more human side, because they were telling the stories that were untold. What I find weird about this season is how they failed in that where they succeeded in the past. And I don't know if it's because they fictionalized or because they were too on the nose with things. Like they just like, it was like beating a dead horse. Like you're trying to make these people relevant and relatable and whatever. But because we knew the context versus, I think, the historical or the ones that were older, where we didn't have context, maybe it was easier to fictionalize and make it humane. Whereas here, it felt like they were trying too hard, and so it failed, because I really lost the relatability with a lot of the characters that up until now I would have been rooting for, or I would have been able to see their humanity. In this one, that felt lacking for me.
No, I agree.
Yeah, no, I think that that is my opinion about Dominic West is that he was not playing Charles. He was playing a character that they had written in a certain way, but he was not trying to play Charles. And I think, I mean, like, my conspiracy theory is that was intentional, to kind of divorce us from the king, and make, like, if he had played a character that was like replicated Charles, looked just like Charles, replicated his mannerisms and his accent and all that sort of stuff, it would be very hard for us to divorce that from the actual king that there is now, because the age is not that different. Whereas, you know, Josh O'Connor, you could have still said he's young there, it's different. So I think so by playing a character which is, you know, has got the name and whatever, it's easy for us to see Dominic West as something, as a different, completely different character to the actual king but they have now. So, you know, It's not that kind of.
Technically, because we're part of the Commonwealth, so it is technically.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's just like, so we all know what happened after last season. Like, Charles and Camilla had to switch off their Instagram comments because they were getting so much hate. So like, I feel like it might have been intentional, because I mean, why would you? I mean, I think Dominic West is like an amazing actor. I think he's. I really do think so. But I mean, like, why would you cast him? Surely there's lots of other British actors who could, number one, do that Charles, or number two, looks more like him. So for me, I'm like, that was very fishy why they cast him. Because I mean, even Imelda Staunton, whatever, she played the queen. Yeah. Imelda, she played that queen brilliantly. Like, firstly, I was like, oh, you're gonna be, she looks a bit strict. But then she kind of like softened up so much in the role, which I thought was really good. But I mean, like, you could see she was kind of like impersonating the queen, where everybody else was sort of doing sort of impersonations. Dominic West was doing a completely different character. And I think that was intentional, just to kind of separate the Crown from what is real. Because, I mean, that's the whole thing. They wanted the Crown to say, oh, it's not true, it's based on fiction, whatever. But, yeah, that was my thoughts. But I want to know, what is your guys' favorite moment, scene? I don't know, it's season, episode. One of those. What are yours? What is your favorite part of the season?
For me, it was very easy to answer this question. The Alpha Ed episode with Muhammad Al Fayed, when he that for me, the scene when it's not even a scene, it's a couple of seconds, when he first his first wife, and he's doing belly dancing with it's a wedding. That moment, that is the moment that I was like, oh, okay, no, this is the show for me.
I'm gonna have to go with, was it Margaret or Anne? I want to say it was Anne's face when they were reading the transcription of the telephone call. Like, the utter disgust on her face was magical. I like, every now and then I would like, make it a meme for me, please. It's
that amazing. Actor, brilliant as Princess Anne. Like, I loved
so
her.
Good.
Ayesha, and you?
So, I think it was episode 9 when they were doing, like, it doesn't involve any of the main characters at all. It's when they were doing the divorce sequences. When with the couples, when they were telling all their divorce stories. I don't know, I really enjoyed that. That
I also
felt
like that.
Really, really normal and natural to me. And then I also what absolutely sent me. Diana was sitting with her friend in the hospital, and like her friend's like really traumatized, and she called the doctor Dishy. And I'm like, girl, read the room.
do you think he's Pakistani? Yeah. like
your friend is going through something, and you looking at this uncle. I actually had to pause, and because I was rolling in my bed. I'm like, girl. But I also loved how they made this, like, Diana being into spicy men a thing. They were really setting up this Dodie thing to be a thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's make her into this uncle.
Well, she was, but I mean, she was into the spicy men though. Like, that was her type. I mean,
she had a type. She definitely had a type.
Yeah, that was her type. So, I mean, they weren't wrong. I really love the Margaret episode. Like, I don't think that Leslie Manville was really Margaret, even though I love Leslie Manville. But it was just so sweet, like the way that romance sort of ended. But I mean, I was never a big Peter Townsend fan, because I just thought it was a little bit like he was a little bit too old for her. But but I just thought the way that episode was written and the way it came together was very beautiful. So yeah, that was my favorite. So on that note, what is your guys' least favorite moment of the season?
Oh, I'd have to say the entire season, it's just been very pop. I don't know. There's another word that I could use to describe it, but it's been very much a letdown. I don't know if I went into it going into with like high expectations, but the entire season just like felt very okay, fine, yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree with Mvelase. Like there were glimmers of like old seasons of previous seasons of The Crown. Like I think any time the Queen was having a moment with somebody, so there's how when her and Diana finally have their conversation, or when her and Charles have their conversation around like
Charles
feeling not Charles, Prince Philip, around compatibility and whether or not it's okay for him to have a companion. I feel like those scenes carried so much, and I wish we saw more of that. But then they just kept focusing on like random stuff. So I don't know. It was not, not great.
I agree with both of you. What particularly grated my tits was the interactions between Diana and William. I don't know why, but it made my skin crawl. I don't know what specifically. It just made me really uncomfortable. And then also making, okay, this opinion I just grabbed from Twitter, but it made Charles and Camilla look like a star-crossed like couple, and it was so sad that they can't be together.
Okay, we're gonna get into that. Okay, fine.
and then I said this before, making Diana look like a crazy, deranged woman.
Okay. So like, the truth about Charles and Camilla is that Charles. This is the tea.
Yeah.
Charles was like, he wasn't cheating with Camilla alone. He had multiple multiple
mistresses,
and like, I don't know, for whatever reason Diana like fixated on Camilla, but there were other women. There was I forget what her name was, like Lady whatever, she's like some also one of the in a member of the aristocracy, but she died in 1990, just after Diana died. Just after Diana died. And
sounds fishy to me.
Yeah.
I didn't know she died. I knew she existed.
No, she died.
Is it also a car crash? Breaks fail.
Let me be clear. I'm not saying I don't believe that the royal family killed her. Diana all killed this woman. Just like, I need to put that.
Okay. My worst part is I just never want to see Charles breakdancing again. Like, that was the worst part of the season for me. Everything was low, but that was like below low. That was like in the bowels of hell.
Very unnecessary.
So do you guys, okay, I think we kind of answered this, but I mean, if anybody has more to say about this, but do you guys think the scene was more favorable to Charles and the royal family than previous seasons? So I'm not just saying overall, I'm just saying compared to the previous seasons.
I've always said, the Crown is royalist propaganda. It's beautifully made royalist propaganda. So at the end of the day, I was always expecting that the show is gonna to make Prince Charles out to be it's gonna try do him well. And what I've been surprised about is not the show itself, but people's reactions about how angry they are that Diana has been the way that she's been portrayed, and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't expect that, because we've been watching the show for like, what's it, 5 seasons, and people still, the love for Diana is so strong. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, but like that, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming at all.
I hope that it's not just like the minority on like social, that like people watching also kind of like get that, you know, the people that watch stuff and just sort of take on. But I mean, like, I always use like my parents or something like that as like a test, because they're obviously not online. But like, my mom was getting so angry in that last conversation between Charles and Camilla. Charles and Diana. She was like, "This didn't happen. This didn't happen. Why are they trying to make him look so nice?" And I was like, you know, but I mean, she also knows a lot about the royal family. I'm like, I hope the average show watcher that perhaps does not know a lot about the royal family would also kind of get the nuance or understand. But Leanne and Ayesha, do you guys have opinions? Yeah.
I don't know if it's more favorable. I think all the previous seasons have been pretty favorable to the royals, because they're trying to portray them as humans with different struggles and explain why they're so conflicted. So I mean, even with Charles, if I think of the previous seasons where they show him going to school and how hard Philip was on him, and then him having to learn Welsh, and like that's all painting him in a very favorable light to explain why he's so the way he is. I think it's not about making them favorable, but I think they didn't have the same, because they glossed over the bigger issues. Like, they covered it from a historical point of view because they had to, but I feel like they glossed over the conflict and the emotional stuff that made it interesting. So for me, like, one of the things I think they missed a beat on was, I wanted to see more of the marriage between Camilla and Andrew, because that scene where Charles phones and he's like, "Oh, it's Charles," and she gets up and leaves her kids, and he's clearly aware that there's a vibe. He knows something is happening, but then they don't address it.
They just like,
so then she leaves the
out.
house. Exactly, and I'm like, cover that. I want to see their conflict and their emotional output of that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just glossing over stuff.
You want to see how they deal with each other as siblings.
Exactly. Like, you don't see, like, I felt like they covered stuff from a history perspective, but they didn't really add the humanity layer, and then they just put over this sheen, and like, it was weird. It felt inauthentic to me.
Because that's why, like, because I mentioned this in the beginning of why was it such a horrible year? Like, why was it so difficult? We don't see the emotional, like, the only thing where we saw between Camilla's husband and Camilla was like Camilla's husband kicking her out. Where was the conflict? Where was the conflict between? We didn't see that. And then, like, where was the Josh O'Connor equivalent of gross misalliance? Like, there was no moment. Obviously, there doesn't have to be an exact repetition of that, but there was no equivalent of that in terms of emotional intensity. I miss Josh O'Connor, by the way. Rip King.
I don't know. I always felt that, you know, I mean, obviously it's always been propaganda, but I've always felt that, like, it was kind of on the line, like it was a bit more balanced. Like, you know, they critiqued Philip and how he was cheating on the Queen. They critiqued Charles. They critiqued everybody, even the Queen, and how, you know, how she was sometimes blind to her own privilege and her own, you know, where she comes from and stuff like that. But this season, I felt like they didn't even pretend to be balanced anymore. They just completely leaned into, like, the royalist point of view, like, completely. So you know, that's kind of like how I felt. But I want to ask you guys, who was your MVP of the season? Like, who was your fave? Might be difficult.
Me, without a doubt, it's whoever was doing the wig for Elizabeth and Vicky.
I agree. Hard agree. Yes, hard agree.
I didn't have an answer, so I'm gonna leave it to you guys. I'm like,
when you sent the questions, I was just like, huh? Who? I didn't like anyone.
Yeah, exactly. When I saw the questions, like, I know exactly who the MVP is here. But I mean, seriously, what's it? It's the guy who plays Prince Philip. He did
Jonathan Pryce.
Like that. Yeah, Jonathan Pryce. He did a very he was amazing as in that role. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're gonna go with standout performances, I'm gonna have to go with Prince Philip. Like, he was charming, he was funny, he was cutting, his plotline was decent, and I think Jonathan Pryce did an excellent job with the role. So he's definitely my MVP for this season.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say John Major, Prime Minister John Major. Also, because somehow
you're just holding for him. You're just holding for him. I can tell.
Also, like, he somehow managed to involve himself with every single character possible, and then I don't know how he managed to do that. And I was like, oh, interesting.
I like Claudia Harrison, who played Princess Anne. Princess Anne is like my favorite royal. So anything that anyone who plays her, anything that she does, I'm all for it. So I thought she was perfect in that role. And when she kisses Tim, her husband,
at the club, yes.
They kiss, yeah.
So what do you want to see next season? We know next season is going to be the big one where Diana dies, hopefully, because it's the final season. But so what do you hope to see?
Whether they allude to it being a conspiracy or not.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, that would be. I mean, they
can I ask? Do you believe it's there was like
I'm not answering
to kill her?
I'm gonna take the fifth on this one.
I mean,
I'm taking a fifth. I'm just saying I've driven a lot of old cars and my brakes haven't failed yet. So
I think so. Yes, I will say that on record. Yes.
And just remember, the prince can't remarry if his first wife is still alive.
Yeah.
So
Is that so? Is that so?
But anyway, I'm not saying anything. But anybody else? What do you want to see next season?
I think because we all know where it's heading, I don't want to see the slow build up that they did this season. I want to see the proper reaction, or I want to see the emotional intensity of the fallout of that. Do you know what I mean? So like the build up is one thing, but I want to actually see like how they deal with it on a personal level, not just and like, because the reason why The Crown is so good is because you have humans versus the crown. It's like humanity, you as an individual versus you as your role. And that's what makes it so fascinating, right? It's like this internal tension that each of the characters has to deal with in terms of pursuing what they want versus doing what they have to do with their duty. And so I think that's what I want to see more of next season. Is like this thing happens and it's massive and it's explosive, but how does that relate to personal feelings versus duty feelings and like that sort of thing?
All right. I was saying, I think the thing is, it's the entire process. Premise of the show is trying to they've got this duty as the royal family, but then they've duty as a family is just like actual people, and it's that clash between those two things. I think that's when the show is most interesting. It's when we see them dealing with that kind of thing.
I must say I'm disappointed that we never got to see the toe sucking incident. There was just like reference to it. Like I was so excited for that. But my thing next season is I really want to see Earl Spencer's funeral speech. I don't want to see the BBC cut up interview. I don't want to see the references to Andrew Morton's book. I want to see that speech in the entirety. And I want to see their reactions after that speech, because that speech changed lives. Like I watch it once a year just for like for my bitterness to seep through. Just
I remember when like that speech when it happened. I was in PE, still living in PE at the time, and I remember we were like, I was walking around with a friend of mine, my best friend, my childhood best friend, and then like I heard we go into his house, and then like the speech, his mother was watching the funeral and Princess Diana's funeral, and it's like, whoa, he actually said that. I was 13 years old, and I was like thinking like, he actually said that.
Yes. Oh, I need to see that so badly. Like, I just wanted to play it again so that everyone can be reminded of it, and it can piss off the royal family again, and just like, I just need that.
Amen.
I need that in my life. But yeah, thank you guys. Do you guys want to do a little bit of a crushing on before we go?
Yes. I want to talk. I want to talk about what's it? Charlize cancelling of the con.
What an unholy laugh.
But like, I just want to say about that, it's like, I don't understand the backlash, because it's not like she cursed the language or anything like that. Like, it was just sort of her opinion. So, I mean, even if it's not true, or even if whatever, it's just one person.
As an Afrikaner, she's allowed to have an opinion. She may be wrong, but she's allowed to have an opinion about, like, her language.
Oh my gosh, but I just thought the backlash was a little bit much. I was just like, okay. Yeah. People were like crying in the streets, like, and they were like, they can't even boycott her because what are they gonna do? Not watch like Mad Max again? Yeah.
They changed the Wikipedia entry.
Yes,
I saw that.
People. I was like, wow.
Damn. People speak Afrikaans. That kills me. No, that kills me.
But does anybody else want to recommend something before we end off? Like,
I will go with Enola Holmes 2. If you haven't seen it, I found it much better than the first one. Steve disagrees with me, but I think the storyline was easier to hold on to, and I love what they did with the reveal at the end. So yeah, if you've got time, Enola Holmes 2 on Netflix is a bob.
Anybody else?
I've got something. I just need to double check. Oh, what's it? The Bastard and the Son on Netflix. It's this. It's a fantasy show about. I like. It's very difficult to explain what it's about. There's a guy who's finds out that he's not part of the people that he thought he was part of his entire life. But then he's trying to figure out where he is. I don't know if there will be a second season, but I love the show. It's really, really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ayesha, have you got something?
Can I recommend a book?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm reading Legendborn by Tracy Dion. And it is King Arthur reimagining, and like it's really it's a YA novel, and it's really gripping, and it really speaks to my Merlin obsession from when I was 12. And the second book is being released in South Africa, obviously a month later, because we're at the bottom of the continent. The second book is called Bloodmarked. And the love interest is a Tumblr.
Okay. Well, if we're doing books, then I have to say people need to go read like Anne Rice's. Go revisit Anne Rice's The Vampire Chronicles.
Yes.
Because I watched the show obviously, and then I've been rereading the books. And oh my gosh, to go back into that world.
Actually, I have a minute. Interview with a Vampire. I can't watch. Yes. I can't watch more than one episode because every episode is so heart-wrenching, harrowing, homoerotic. It's actually just not homoerotic, it's just gay.
It's just very fucking gay. It's
just
gay.
very gay. And like I can't, you're so overstimulated. You're just like, I have to watch it with my eyes between my hands between my eyes. I'm just like, oh Lord, God will judge me most viciously for watching this because it's just, oh Lord. But like, it's really good. Actually, that's what I am.
Yes,
on.
I also know. Me as well. That's why for recommendation.
Severe trigger warnings because there's lots of heavy
oh my God, no. Very, very. Particularly
heavy
episode 5 of Interview with the Vampire. Very, very, very major trigger warnings on that one.
Yes. I haven't even got to that episode yet, but I know. I know. I just haven't. I know. Oh Lord.
I just watched a show called Reboot, which was really, really funny, and like I thought it was
good.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, it's not like 100%, but I mean, it was really, really funny. I found it hilarious, and it's like it's about this this girl. She's like this indie director, and they invite her into the Hulu office, and they're like, "Oh, tell us what you want to make." And she's like, "I want to revive this like family comedy from the early 2000s with the same cast."
Oh, I've heard about the show.
Yeah. And then they're like, okay, and then they sort of like bring back everyone, and everyone has like been like not been having a great time since it. But like it's got like Judy Greer and Keegan Michael Keyes and Johnny Knoxville. Johnny Knoxville's actually really funny. I was like shocked. But otherwise, like I enjoyed it. I felt like it was too short. There was only 8 episodes, and there was too many things that they started and didn't end. But yeah, I hope it gets a second season. But it's on Disney Plus. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Thank you everyone for joining us on the Roundtable. Thank you everyone who's listening. Yeah, see you next week.
Me, you can find at Caryn Welby on Instagram, at Caryn Welbys with an S on Twitter, and sign up for my newsletter, Wildest Dreams, at wildestdreams.substack.com. The podcast can be found at Crushing on Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can find us at What's IGN Crushing On YouTube, and you can find more information about this and all our other episodes on our website, crushingonpodcast.com. Send any feedback to mail@crushingonpodcast.com, and you can send us voice notes at +27 78 362 2566. Join our Facebook group, Crushing On Club, where we chat about the show, celebrity news, recommendations, the whole shebang. The show is produced by me, Caryn, as well as Rebecca Barches and Leanne Phillipson. The show is edited by Rebecca Barches. Our logo was designed by Nathifa Maroof, and the show was created in partnership with IGN Africa. If you like the show, tell everyone that you can, any way that you can. Keep up to date with episodes by subscribing to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please rate and review the episodes on Apple Podcasts, as it helps others to find the show. We'll be back next week with another in-depth conversation with a pop culture lover. See you then.